Hi, Mayor Mike Manning. I'm here to introduce a feature segment on Channel 17 regarding a change to the dispatching for 911 services in Watervliet. For the next 20 minutes or so, you'll hear a question and answer period with Chief Ron Boisvert. Hopefully this question and answer period answers any questions or concerns you have about this process. If not, you can call the Chief's number that's being shown on the bottom of the screen now. And if you don't resolve any issues with that, you can always call my office at 270-3815 or email me through our website. Again, I urge you to take the time and watch the next 20 minutes to get the facts about what's happening. And I think when you're done watching this, all your concerns will be alleviated. Thank you.
Hello, this is Charles Patricelli, and welcome to the WVLT. Welcome to what's happening in Watervliet. Today I have Chief Ron Boisvert. Chief Ron Boisvert's here to talk to us and explain the new 911 system for what's in effect right now for the city of Watervliet. And that's basically why we're here, to explain everything to the city residents, and I'll let the chief do that. Chief, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks, Charles. I appreciate you having me here today. This is pretty important information I'd really like to get out to everybody, and it's a change to the way that the Watervliet Police and Fire Departments are going to be doing their dispatching functions from now on. And I'm here to tell you today that on March 20th, effective March 20th, which is 2 weeks away, we will be changing over to this new system. And what we're asking everyone to do is to start thinking about now dialing 911 for any emergency service request. That's a police request, a fire request, or an ambulance request, so that we can better utilize the people that we have in those departments. Let me just give you a little history about how this works now and how it's going to change. Historically, since we started 911 back in 1995, I believe, when we used to get 911 calls, or today, as a matter of fact, as we get 911 calls, if you dial 911, 911 goes out to the sheriff's office in Voorheesville, and those dispatchers answer that call. And then when they determine what municipality that call belongs to, they will send it back to that municipality. So, for instance, if you dialed 911 and had an emergency, your call would go out to Voorheesville. They would identify, okay, this person lives in Watervliet. He needs to get help from the Watervliet Police or Fire Departments. They will send the call back to our dispatcher in Watervliet, which will require, in most cases, that now you've explained yourself twice. You've explained yourself to the 911 dispatcher out in Voorheesville, and now you've explained yourself to the 911 or the emergency service dispatcher in our police department.
Not very...
It's not efficient. It's not efficient. And
not when seconds count.
Exactly. And so what happens then is our dispatcher will dispatch the call. So we went from here to Voorheesville to Watervliet and then out to a police or fire unit to get your response. What we're going to be doing now, as of March 20th, is we're going to eliminate one of those transactions to make things a little bit more efficient. So now when you call 911, your call's still going to go out to the county, out in Voorheesville. However, now they have the ability to automatically dispatch one of those emergency service units right from Voorheesville. So we're going to eliminate that function that used to have to occur previously. Okay. Which is going to save time and lives and money, all those things. But the bottom line is it's the most efficient way for us to be able to provide that service.
Is that a radio dispatch from Voorheesville?
It will be a radio dispatch. We've actually been working on this project for over 16 months now, and we've fine-tuned it. We've been testing it since October on a midnight shift, and it's been seamless to this point. We've had a couple of bumps that we've overcome, and we've smoothed those out, and now we feel very comfortable and very confident that we are going to be able to provide a better service for our police, fire, and ambulance. Now, one of the other things, Charles, some people, in the grand scheme of things, they may not understand why we're doing this. One of the big benefits to us having emergency service dispatching done out at the county now is because they're trained in a protocol which is called EMD, Emergency Medical Dispatch. And what that allows them to do is if they receive a request for emergency service for a fire or an ambulance, particularly ambulance service, they can walk a person through treatment actions until the ambulance or EMTs get there, which also has proven to save lives. And obviously it saves time. So that is a huge benefit.
That's something that our dispatchers
we have never been trained to do, and because we were considered a secondary public safety answering point, we weren't allowed to do that. And these dispatchers out there are allowed to do it, and they've been doing it since they started working out there 18 years ago. So it's very, very important now that effective March 20th for emergency services that we dial 911, and you will get the same professional, courteous service from those dispatchers that you would have had you called the Watervliet Police Department. They are an extension of us, per se, because they are representing us now, and we have a great relationship with the sheriff and the county sheriff's department, and this is just another arm of that now. One of the other changes now is, you know, Charles, as long as you and I have been around, 270-3833, that's the number. You know, you always call that number for whatever it is that you need. Well, that number is now going to be set to an auto attendant, and it's going to be set up for non-emergency situations only, requests for records, to speak to someone in the station. There's still an opportunity for them to leave a voicemail or a message with a specific officer, but primarily that number is now going to be a menu item. You can select various items on that menu to get some sort of service, but it's for non-emergency requests only, and I have to stress that. The 270-383 number will no longer get you an operator or a dispatcher that's going to be able to help you. If you need assistance, 911 is the answer. And that is really what we're going towards now, is to try to consolidate and solidify that action. We need people to dial 911.
That's going to be a hard habit to break for a lot of people. I mean, like myself, I mean, over the course of years that I've been here, you know, you call the police department, that's what the number you call. So, I mean, I've called it a lot. So it is going to be a different. I mean, I would never think of dialing 911 for a normal, you know. And
you know, this is. Let's face it, Charles, this is a little bit of an older, established community, and those folks are set in their ways, and rightfully so, because that's how we've always done things. And now this is going to be a culture shock for them. It's going to be a big change, but I don't want to alarm anybody. I'm 100% confident that this is going to be the most efficient way for us to provide this service still. And you know what? There's going to be a period of time where people are still going to dial that number. And it's just going to direct them right off the bat that they need to dial 911. So the sooner we can get this message out to folks to let them know that that's what they need to do, they could start doing it now. You know, they could start actually dialing 911 now. It's not going to affect anything about how this procedure gets put into place next week or 2 weeks from now. But it really is important that they understand that emergency service is going to be generated through the 911 call.
The other thing, too, is we were taught a 911 call is really like an extreme emergency. I mean, it's not to call the police because you saw somebody walking down the street, and you know you wanted to report that. That was not what a 911 call was meant to be. So now basically it's changed to the level of like a 911. That's
true. And the thing about that scenario, Charles, is that the dispatchers out at the county building in Voorheesville are trained to determine which that is. Is it an emergency call that needs assistance right this minute, or is this something that I can pass along to the officer after I clear an emergency call that I'm already working on? There's plenty of dispatchers out there that will be able to handle calls, but people also need to understand that they're not just answering Watervliet Police Department's calls. They already have all their fire service in the county. They handle some airport police officers and the road patrol for the county sheriffs. Now, there's going to be additional dispatchers assigned to carry that new volume. But this isn't. We're not trendsetters here either. There are other agencies that are considering it, and we expect other agencies to follow suit shortly. And there are some other actually kind of larger agencies in the area that are now interested because they see also the benefits of it. So we're not really setting a trend. We're not doing anything crazy by any means. We had an opportunity to jump on board. Several things fell into place that allowed us to think this way a little bit sooner than maybe we wanted to, but in the long run, it's going to work out for us.
Now, here's another thought too. Traditionally, 911 calls on a cell phone doesn't that go to the state police?
It all depends on. Unfortunately, it all depends on what tower they hit. It can go to the state police. It can go to the county sheriff's office. Sometimes they go to Rensselaer County and they have to get transferred. They may get bounced around a little bit, but the bouncing around is instantaneous once that dispatcher receives the call. As long as they know where that person is, they're able to get it to the right dispatch center. But traditionally, you're right. Predominantly, they went to the state police.
Yeah, the state police was that. I mean, because if I'm out on the sites or walking down and I have, traditionally I would, call 270, and then I would get you. But if now what you're saying is you dial 911 and it'll go down to the county?
Yes, it will go down to the county. And people should not be afraid to call 911 for the things that they used to call 270-38334. Right. Now I know some folks here, and I understand it. They had a comfort level with being able to talk to a dispatcher that they knew. But unfortunately, that's just not going to be the case anymore. You're still going to be able to get that service that person that you knew provided to you. It's just going to be a different person. But it is, as I said, it's very important now that we get people thinking about 911 instead of that 270 number.
Okay. Walk-ins. What are you going to do about walk-ins?
Yeah, that's a good point, Charles. Our walk-ins, since the dispatch personnel aren't going to be there anymore, pretty much that the lobby area and the dispatch center is going to be unmanned now. And what we've done is I'm still waiting for it to come in. I'm still designing it actually with a company. We're going to have a kiosk there, and it's a self-service kiosk. And basically, it's a computer and a stand, but it has the ability for them to make a complaint. If it's not an urgent complaint, they can, I see this suspicious activity going on in my neighborhood, blah, 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 whatever it is, and then that will get routed to an officer or a supervisor for action accordingly. There's the ability now to come in and fill out your premise check sheet if you're going on vacation and you want your house checked. There's directions for people who may get lost and find their way to the police station. They'll be able to find landmarks in the city by using this kiosk. They'll be able to request to speak to an officer through this system. They'll be able to now request documents from the city clerk's office through this system. In case they don't get down there before they close, there's going to be a button, a selection module where they can say, I need a police report or an accident report for whatever on such and such a day. That's also going to save them a trip, because traditionally what they have to do is they have to come down to the police station or to the city hall, fill out the form at the clerk's office. Then that needs to get routed to wherever it needs to go administratively. And when it gets back to the city clerk's office, the city clerk calls them and tells them, hey, your documents are ready, you can come and get it. Now they can come down at any time of day or night, fill out that form, and hopefully they'll either be notified by email or by the city clerk making a phone call to them to come down and pick it up. So it saves them a little bit of aggravation, because sometimes that does get frustrating when people's work schedules don't coincide with what's happening in City Hall.
Can this also be done online too? Some of this.
Some of these things can be done online. Some of this, and as a matter of fact, the city's website and our website will also be available on this kiosk, which has links to it that will allow you to get to some of those document items. You won't be able to request that electronically through the website if you're at home. But you will be able to still download the form and fill it out and bring it in and drop it off. But the websites will be there, and that's where some of these links are driven from. They're driven from our website.
Okay.
And we think that kiosk is also going to be helpful. Now, the other thing about the lobby is that there's going to be a call box there, and the call box is going to be linked directly to the sheriff's department. So if there is nobody in the station and they need to speak to someone, they just push the button. They'll speak to a dispatcher out in the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office will dispatch one of our officers to police headquarters.
To the police headquarters, or respond to whatever they have.
Exactly. Yes.
Good. Okay. Good. Different.
So I think we've been pretty diligent about and conscientious about trying to cover all the tangibles and the intangibles, and I think we've got a package that is going to work for us, and I'm confident that it will work.
Calls. What do you know your volume of calls?
We do probably anywhere from 12 to 15,000 calls a year, and I think the fire department does somewhere around 17 or 1,800 a year. So we're probably a little bit busier than people might think we are, but that's okay. We don't really necessarily want them to think that we're busy. Because if we're busy and they don't know it, then maybe that's good for us and it's good for them. Yeah. I think, as the mayor said it, we're there when they need us, and sometimes we're there when they don't know it. So that's a pretty good thing.
Okay, so basically wrapping it up, as of March 20th, all calls has to go to 911.
Yes, that's.
You could start right now, yep. But as of March 20th, all is 911.
If you dial after March 20th, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get the auto attendant, and the first thing it's going to tell you is that if you have an emergency, hang up and dial 911. I don't think that's going to happen too many times, because if people hear that the first time, they're going to realize I can't do that anymore.
Right.
I just like to be able to get this information out as soon as possible, so that it kind of gets them thinking that way now before they have to start using it. And like I say, they can use it right now.
Okay. I mean, because that's something that brings up a topic. I mean, we have documents galore going out to our tenants. We have the thermometer switch plates. We have everything, and it all has 270.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
It's.
It is unfortunate, and it's changed, and I know that sometimes that word's not really.
You think I can send them a bill?
It's not really accepted very well sometimes, but it is for the better of the city. The residents, I think, are getting a huge benefit from this because I think it's more efficient.
Well, the technology is there, and the
right.
things are there, and now it's basically your own thought process, and to be able to put the things together and find out, hey, why didn't I think of that 5 years ago?
Right.
We do it all the time,
yeah, and maybe 5 years ago it really wasn't available either.
Yeah.
Technology has grown and progressed so far. I don't know that we ever would thought
right.
that we were going to do this either.
Well, you did things traditionally. I mean, this is what you did, and then we developed a 911 system, which was again, developed for an emergency, and it was quick, so that somebody coming in and out of the cities who did not know the 270 number
exactly.
would be able to dial that and get somebody automatically,
right.
and that was so it was kind of like made that easier.
Right.
But I think now we're just meshing it all together and saying this is it.
Yep.
Very good. All right. Is there anything else?
I don't think so, Charles. I really appreciate the time because I think this is something that everybody needs to know, and we need to spread the word and get it out there as much as we can.
All right. Well, this will go.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you, Ron.
Thanks,
Thank
Charles.
you very much. I'll take that, and I'll put this on, and it'll be on our the TV channel and website, and anybody else we'll hope to get that information out to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching WVLT. Thank you.